Victor, are we on now?
Yeah, we're on, yeah.
Okay.
But let's do it later.
So, not like me if I don't eat how much.
I'm ready for you, Karen, whenever you're ready.
All right, should we call this meeting to order? You want to do the roll call, Victor?
Yep, Nancy Rondell,
Here.
Patrick Wise.
Yeah.
Karen Strout.
Here.
And Dan Holden.
Here.
Looks like Savannah Maki is not on again, so I emailed her. I don't know why she hasn't been coming, so I'll have to reach out to the school.
New representative.
This has never happened before, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See what she says.
I
Maybe.
think they see what she says. So has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yeah, I just had a couple little. Was Sue Stewart here at last week's meeting?
No, and I saw that too.
Yeah, so she's on the
She's on as
roll
here.
call. Yeah.
I saw that too, and I'm like,
I don't think she
I don't
was here.
think I remember her
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah.
But it was four of us.
This must have not taken her off.
Yeah.
She's a hard one to let go of.
We want to know about minor,
Anything that,
Okay.
before they get become
okay,
official?
let's see, under Arbor Fest, for paragraph, Victor said he would ask Parks Director Rachel. Very tiny, kind of embarrassed to even bring it up. And then, is that how you spell Hemingway?
Yes,
Hemingway.
Hemen
Okay,
WAY.
not like the author. Yeah.
No.
Okay,
That's correct, it is not.
that's all I got.
Any other corrections? Thanks for those fines, Dana.
We have a motion to approve the minutes with those modifications.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved with those modifications. Okay, any communications to the board? Have you, anyone received anything?
I have received that we are Tree City USA certified, so
That's great.
it's great news. We do have one applicant for the tree board. I'm gonna bring it to council on Monday, so his name is John Cassidy. I don't know if anyone knows John Cassidy. There's a few Cassidys.
Anything you can share?
I don't have his application in front of me. It's gonna go to council on Monday, so it'll be in the packet.
Okay. Cool.
Then Karen, you wanted to add something to the agenda, so if you wanna.
Right, I wanted to talk about the next topic for the tree canopy. You want to do that now?
No, I
Okay.
just that we add a new agenda item, we do it at the beginning of the meeting, so we want to put it after complete review of the implementation matrix, so.
So I just had a question. So we don't need to talk about alternate dates or times. We were all supposed to get back to you and I realized I didn't, so.
No, well, all the dates that I got back from people, I know Patrick, you were relatively free, but from Nancy and Karen and myself, it just wouldn't work changing it the way it was, so.
Sorry about that.
No, it just didn't work.
Can we reach out to Fred Rigwitz and just tell him, because he was the one that said he'd like to be on, but the timing didn't work for him. So just to let him know, it's not that we don't want him on, we just don't have a time that works.
Yep, I
think
can do
that'd
that.
be a good thing to do. Thanks.
All right, so that's it. No public comment. Move on to old business. And the Arbor Day Fest is first on the agenda here.
What I provided was kind of a recap of summarize of what we did at the last meeting. Just looking at some other,
Yeah.
some more ideas. I was supposed to have a call with Eric Hemingway today. He said he was on board, but we were gonna talk about details today, but he couldn't make a call today, so I'll talk to him next week. But here's the basic. Where? Kiwanis Park, we know that. Saturday, from what I gathered, it was from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., kind of to coincide with the farmer's market.
Victor, if I could insert, do we want to have as the first thing, the opening ceremony with Matt?
Yeah, you did mention that. I must have missed from that. Yeah, open ceremony.
So you are going with 11 a.m. to 2
Yeah,
p.m.
that's what we
Fine.
talked about. Yeah. I guess that's what we're gonna finalize here, but yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah,
you had the other time up there as well.
yeah, I'm still kind of worried about the farmer's market, overlapping this too much. Doesn't that go on until 1 o'clock?
11 to 1. I mean,
10 to
9.
1, 9 to 1.
9 to
1. So for 2 of those hours, potentially people will still be at the farmer's market. Should we try to do it like 12 to 2 or
Do you
12
think-
to 3?
Do you think what's the problem with the crossover, do you think, Karen?
I just know there'll be people that will be at the farmer's market and not come to Kiwanis Park.
How long do people usually stay at the farmer's market?
At least usually an hour.
And oftentimes, it's busiest right at the beginning, so people go like at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock.
So I would think an 11 o'clock start would be good. I understand what you're saying, but I'm wondering how much impact that's really gonna
Well,
have.
there's two things, right? There's a worry from Karen, but there's also the flip side is if you push it out too late, then people they might just go to farmer's market and then go home. Sometimes they might go to this before and then go to farmer's market, or they'll go to farmer's market. And then,
And maybe it takes up too much of their day on a Saturday. I guess I would vote for keeping it 11 to 2.
I was just gonna say, when we did the Kiwanis sledding event with Ice Fest around the same time, it actually worked out really well. Cause families were already out, so I was a little worried about that too, how they would overlap, but a lot of people appreciated it, cause they were like, we're already out, ready to go.
I mean, we could do 11:30 to 2:30 or 11:30 to 3 if we wanted to push it back a little bit. So if someone showed up at the market at 10:30 or something, they'd still have time. But I think it's okay for them to overlap a bit.
And the other thing too is we'll have a booth at farmer's market, and so we can say, after you leave here, why don't you go to Arbor Fest?
So there'd still be the last hour, the 1 to 2 up at Kiwanis, after the market was closed.
Yeah, like even people that have tents at the market, they're gonna have limited time to be up at Kiwanis Park too. Because some of those people might want to come, so it just gives them like an hour. I'll leave,
what's your pleasure? Well, I mean, yeah, I just propose a time and
Yeah.
I think your idea maybe even 11:30 to 2:30, pretty good.
I'm okay with that if that's
Yeah.
what
You don't
works.
think even hours are easier for people to remember?
I don't know.
they probably are, but
Simpler on a sign.
Uh-huh.
it's fine. I would suggest 11 to 2 or 12 to 3, one of either or. 12 to 3.
I would choose besides doing 11.
I just still question whether people want to take up a whole chunk of their Saturday.
Because some of these events, like if you think about the hours 11 to 2, they might miss some of the real fun parts, if they're at the farmer's market. So I guess we're gonna have to publish a schedule, so people,
Yeah, we
maybe
could
if they
do
want to
that.
do both, we'll just get to the farmer's market earlier.
Or
and then
come
they
to
can
us
come
first
up.
and then go to the market. Yeah, if we published a schedule, so if some family said, oh, we really want to do the tree climbing,
Mhm.
and they knew it was at 1, then they
Let's
would
go
go
to
ahead of
market
time. That's a
early.
good
Yeah.
idea,
All
to
right.
publish a schedule. That
So
should
given all
help.
that, let's just stay with 11 to 2 then.
Okay.
So then we have,
Just backing up one more time, sorry, Victor. So before it all starts, we should plan for a registration table for people to sign up, and don't we have to have them sign like a release? I think we did last year.
last year we had them sign a release
Was it
for,
for us or was it for relief?
it was for relief.
Okay.
That was for planting in case there was COVID. It was a COVID restriction.
Do we want people to
COVID-related.
register though?
No, I don't think, we can have a table where people can maybe sign up for notices, like we have that constant contact now, email notices for tree board activities, but the only thing we would, if we go forward with the program of tree climbing, we would need to have a liability form, but that would only be for that, so.
So let's plan to have a table in place for when people arrive, they can stop there if they want or not.
And you're
Okay.
talking about up at Kiwanis, not at the market, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
We'll have the
Yeah,
Kiwanis
right.
building open up, so there'll be
Yeah,
a
that's
table,
a good
there's
idea,
tables in
yep.
there, so.
And then also, this might be going out of order, but do we want to do giveaways for the first 50 people again or whatever that was?
We talked about that last time. I don't know. I don't know if it meant anything or not. I meant to ask Josh, if he recalls what kind of response they got to that by giving away the socks and stuff.
Maybe we don't need to
I
complicate
don't think
things.
so.
Yeah.
If we just give them the seedlings, whatever we're gonna give them,
So let's take that up.
and we'll have snacks there too.
Okay, sorry, Victor.
One thing I thought of that we had talked about last week or last meeting was having the schools, certain class, certain grade, do pictures, kind of taking off what you had said, talked about last time, Patrick. They could do pictures of trees, park, whatever that they could put on display inside the Kiwanis Park building. So that would mean somebody would need to go to school and ask, a class to do that. Are there still art classes at Shea? I don't even know. Are there art classes they're still having at Shea even? I know they have in high school. And maybe it's an art project and they could participate and
It would get their families up there maybe.
and we could put them on display inside the building and they could come see, what they did. So I would like to add that to the list.
Would you want to try and coordinate that or?
I don't really have a connection there or anything like that, so.
I mean, Savannah would be our connection, to school. I can reach out to her and
Yeah.
get in touch with her about that.
All right, good.
I'm gonna go through this list now, but we have a lot of things going on for 3 hours with volunteer time, so just keep that in mind. There's a lot that we want to do at this event. First that I had written down was a walk and talk for species identification. Ben could either do that or Dana could do that. I know that's what we talked about last time. And these times I put there they're not set in stone. I was just trying to play around with different things. Then Eric Hemingway for a talk regarding Darwin history and the use of the trees. Talked to Lucas about a city bucket truck and not possible. We're just not gonna risk using a city truck for that purpose.
We should use our truck.
Tree climbing with Ben Wheeling. Would need a harness, liability forms. Ben said he's gonna look into harnesses and.
I've got lots of harnesses.
Yeah.
They're all
I
bigger
was just gonna
though.
say, are they kid size?
Well, so the one thing we run into with kids is that they're kids, so liability is a little bit different. I mean, like high school kids, probably not a big deal. And they would fit adult harnesses. I may have some small ones that like my kids played in. That may work.
What about Camp Daggett climbing wall? They've got to put harnesses on
That's a
kids
good
when they
one,
climb them
yeah.
up there.
Well, different application though. So rock climbing and ice climbing, you're using a harness to catch you if you fall.
Okay,
If you're climbing a tree, you're actually using that harness as part of your ascension gear. So the way that it works is a little different.
so it's different.
Um,
Okay,
we could probably use them both. I mean, I have a lot of rock harnesses too. So, I mean, I don't think I could manage more than 1 or 2 people on a tree at a time anyways.
no, I don't
So,
mind.
let me dig and see what I can find. I mean, I've got like an adult's extra small, which is not a very, I mean, that's a
Well, you know what,
6-inch waist.
if you can't, Lori Ford, who some of you guys know, works at Camp Daggett on the climbing wall. And I see her all the time. I could certainly ask her if they would let us borrow 5 kids harnesses or something for a day. I don't know, but I'm happy to ask her if we decide we want to do that. Because I'm sure they have all sizes out there. They
Maybe-
climb.
Maybe we want to put a minimum age on it. Maybe we want to, like not do little kids, do,
14.
Yeah.
Victor could
Yeah.
stand there and say, must be this tall.
yeah, like at Disney World.
Disney World, yes.
You can
Have
just
to
watch
be
you
this
go up and
tall.
down a bit.
Yeah, well, I'll bring our bucket truck for that one.
But maybe the height is the issue. Do you have any thoughts on that, Ben?
Height and weight.
Waist size is really the biggest thing. I mean, you need to have a harness so that they don't fall out of it. Like, so, and the thing to be careful with like toddlers is that they're squishy, so you have to get it on them tight enough so that they can't move. That's really hard. Usually, most like rock climbing harnesses that I've seen are usually for kids that are, 8 to 10 to 12.
I was gonna say, we could certainly say 8 and up or 10 and up. I mean, I don't think you need to be putting 2-year-olds in a harness and hauling them up.
You just tape them to the side of the bucket.
Yeah.
Nice. So you think 8 and up then?
I mean, I would
Yeah.
put a lower
Yeah.
age limit on it for a lot of reasons.
I
Victor, do you
think the
think it's
interest
worth
that we would
going to?
get would probably be older kids
I was gonna
anyways,
say,
and or, I mean, I would open it up to adults, because they're probably the ones
I'd
that
do
would
it
have
for
the best
sure.
conversations
Yeah.
and questions.
Yeah,
Right.
If we have, maybe the thing to do is for us to bring like our track lift or something, because I can control that from the ground. I mean, so there's always, we should have an aerial rescue plan and way to implement it. And the fastest thing's to have a lift there.
See helicopters
So
flying over
you
There we go.
can
That's
watch
cute.
them.
It's sounding ominous.
Downside with helicopters.
Get the Coast Guard on standby or what?
Do what?
Victor, do you think it's worthwhile to talk to Jim Raymer about liability form that he would be
I would
comfortable?
I'm definitely gonna talk to Jim Labor about this. Yeah, I just want to make sure we nail down what we do first.
What's the quote from Carta? What are you, nuts?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I think 8 and up is a reasonable age.
and I think
Mature
too,
enough.
I think you get a lot of kids there.
and I
Yeah.
think if you do a lift, I don't know how your lift works, you would want to have, is it a can you put 2 people? 1.
So
I think.
there's a restriction as to how close you can have people with chainsaws. And so anything that's worked for tree, that works for tree removal, even though it'll handle the weight, you can only have one person in the basket.
I think we need to really think about how much of this, I think it's a fun idea, but we're really liability on the city and the logistics of making this many different things work in a 3-hour thing. I think we just need to be wise about what we decide to do.
Well, it
So
could be going on simultaneously.
So do you
though,
want
too.
to just say the tree climbing and skip the lift thing? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just can't picture putting a 10-year-old in a lift by themselves and taking them up high. I just foresee.
yeah, that I would not do. I'd like to have it standing by in case there is a complication.
Yeah, that's different if you're gonna climb a tree, but I just think we really need to think about the safety
What about-
aspect of it.
Sorry, and what about if you did a demonstration?
Right, that's a whole different deal. If it's bad, that's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
And I would figure that like at Michigan State, it takes us to run an entire class through climbing, which usually that section's like 20 students, 20 to 30 students, takes us like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's with multiple people and multiple setups for climbing. So it kind of depends. I mean, I'm happy to stand around for a while and talk about the mechanics of it. And, if people run out of time, I don't mind running long.
Well, you look at
Unless it's
the,
raining, then
Too bad.
if you're looking at the other things on on this list that pertain to you, Ben, you're gonna be out there busy.
Mhm.
So it's not possible for you to do this simultaneously with the other things going on potentially.
Well, I mean, the
We
walk
could
and
climb a
talk,
tree to
well,
identify it.
I mean, this is flexible, Dana could deal with the walk and talk, species identification, and Ben could stay there the whole time at a specific location, and as people come.
We should probably do a dry run on some of this stuff beforehand, like where do we want to walk people? Where do we want to set up?
Yeah,
That
definitely.
kind of
That's
stuff.
a good idea.
Well, yeah, we'll have to figure the details out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Do you think, just one more thought about the little kids, could we put them in a lift and just take them up 4 feet just for a little?
I would not recommend
Okay.
putting them in a lift at all.
Okay.
So
It would be fun, but I really,
we have too many, if we're not gonna do it with our own buckets, I don't wanna do it with
yeah,
bucket trucks and everyone else's.
Do you think we
No offense,
could
but
build a
just
zip
don't want
line
that
in
risk.
time? If we pulled a zip line in time for the event.
Yeah.
Well, that's the park, so we're gonna do a zip line?
We're gonna do this part, Rachel.
Down from
Let's
Kiwanis
do a
Building?
zip
You
line.
have nothing else on your plate, Rachel. Just make it happen.
That would be a great idea.
I think even
I
a
got a year for
demonstration
zip
by
lines.
then would be fun for kids to
Yeah,
watch.
demonstration is.
I really think they'd get a real kick out of
Yeah.
a demonstration with somebody going up a tree. And then he could do it a couple more times in an hour, and that would probably catch everybody.
So you
that
don't want the
was-
kids to try it then?
Oh, I don't care. I mean, I think we kind of need to be, if we say 8 and we get a tiny little 8-year-old, it's gonna be hard.
I just.
And we may have 5-year-olds that would fit. I would
Here's, the
say,
best way to do it is say adults on 18 and up. Minimize any liability and just say 18 and up, and if anyone as an adult wants to do it, kids can, let's not, it's gonna be harder and more complicated if we do have kids. And
Could we include high school kids though?
If they're 18.
I would be open to the conversation with some of these parents there.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just say 18 and up to avoid liability issues.
Okay.
Well, Ben, how long does it take to climb a tree? Like how many people could you reasonably do, like in a half an hour or an hour?
Oh, yeah. I mean, once we set a rope, the downside is that like, if somebody wants to try climbing a rope, then I should be with them. And sometimes it goes quickly and sometimes it doesn't. It kind of depends on the person and what kind of condition they're in. And or if they want to use other types of gear, like we could use hand ascenders and foot ascenders to give them mechanical advantage. And that would make it easier. But that takes time. I mean, and if you're only going up, most people, they're comfortable for 10 feet. Very rarely do we see any of the second year college students want to go any higher than 20 feet. I mean, it's a whole different feeling. It's like you can look up and say, oh, it's not that high, but as soon as you're there, the world is different.
But we also have something fun, like where we have little ribbons tied up at, 15 feet or something.
Cowbell.
Go up and grab, ooh, the cowbell, I like that, yeah,
Bring it
I've
out.
got cowbells.
okay.
I don't know what you give them for hitting the cowbell.
So we're gonna leave it at 18 and above?
I think.
And maybe just maybe set a limit to how many people, the first 5 people who come.
It'd be
can go.
first come, first,
Yeah.
until the event's over. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, you could, if you don't mind being on it the whole time, then we could get you a couple of volunteers to get one person into a harness while the other person's up with you.
Oh, I could probably browbeat some employees to help too.
Okay,
Maybe, no, they'll just quit.
yeah, or high school kids,
Like somebody who's trained in how to put a harness on.
that might be good too.
Actually, it'd be good to have high school kids, because maybe look for jobs.
Put it on backwards or upside down.
Yeah, upside down.
So the next one was to give away white pine seedlings. Ben searched up and got a cost of $750 for 200, which is double than what it was last year. Ben said he's gonna shop around, maybe pick a new species or buy a fewer amount, or find a sponsor is one thing I could think about if someone knows here, someone that's willing to sponsor, maybe a business or someone.
I'd take that on.
Dana, can you take that on? Because, yeah, I mean, someone can give us like $500. We can't at this point justify spending $1,000 on giving away trees. Not what our budget right
I
now.
think people would be all over that Graham Realty or, I don't know, number.
That'd be
What
great. if
about
we
even
get a
some
sponsor.
landscapers?
Well,
Might wanna put
let's
a-
see how it goes. I mean, so I reached out to Itasca Greenhouse in Minnesota. And they have weird COVID restrictions, so like we can't get a live person on the phone, so we're playing phone tag with the owner. But their cost is like 1/2 of what it would cost for us to get them in state. So that's where a lot of the Christmas tree growers get them from. So, they'd be a little bit smaller than we got them from Vance Pines, but they would be less expensive and they'd be a little bit more for shipping. But we would.
Either way, we should get a sponsor.
It'd be great if we
Yeah, I would
Like
say,
two-
don't worry
two
about it. Let's
spots.
just tell somebody $500 in the city. We have enough in the coffers to make up the difference.
Or maybe you could get a couple, 250ers even,
Yeah.
Or
couple different
$5
ones.
or $100.
Well, or, yeah.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Or $500, $1.
Let's do that, then everybody can have ownership. Let's do something.
You volunteer for Dan.
All right, thanks, Dan, I appreciate that.
So basically, people are buying their own tree.
Couple other activities. One was to build a bird feeder. Again, right now, what we got, and the other one was create art from nature. Patrick, I had you as overseeing that potentially if you want. You just have to remember for all these activities, we have to have someone on it. So like Patrick can create art from nature, but what about build a bird feeder? Can we do those together or can we combine that in one? Can the art from nature be a bird feeder? I don't know.
Yeah,
He
I'll
could be
let you
the
go
art.
ahead with the bird feeder if you'd like, and
Well,
I'll have a little presentation on what I was thinking.
okay.
Why don't we wait and see like how long that might take, for example?
You know, a way to do a really simple bird feeder with little kids, like 2 and 3-year-olds, is you take like toilet paper rolls and you roll them in peanut butter and then you roll them in seeds. And a little, like a 5-year-old on down, that's an easy thing you could set up outside or inside the Kiwanis hut, and it would,
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
it'd be super simple and they can take them home. It's just,
I'd be willing,
Would you be willing,
Bill,
Rachel?
bird feeder, toilet paper rolls.
I mean, just
Okay.
whatever, some for the really little kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be a good thing to
That was a
have,
lot.
Rachel?
yeah.
So we should save our toilet paper rolls for you.
Yes, please start saving your toilet paper rolls for now, friends.
Oh, I know.
Or paper towel rolls too, or.
Yeah.
We have those too, if you want to, all of you.
Those are good, because people never wash their hands before they touch the paper towel.
So we'll have 2 groups going simultaneously then with
You're not
the
supposed to use
bird
those in
feeder and
schools
then
anymore.
Patrick.
Yeah, we could have
Yeah,
a couple different things like
Yeah.
kids choose, and the
There's
little
these
ones
pine
might
cones,
be
they're
better.
right.
Something really simple.
this is what Patrick says.
Yeah, I must also make sure we have someone at the farmer's market. Do I have to reach out to
Let's say
Savannah?
Bill Mulder will be at the farmer's market. Bill,
And
Michael and Mark.
Yeah.
All right, they have been volunteered.
What does it cost to set up a farm?
I don't even know, free.
And the last thing,
We need to,
Patrick's gonna go over.
we need somebody to arrange for a booth at farmer's market, like a guest at the market. Do you want me to do that again?
Yeah, that'd be helpful if we do that again. Before we go on to Patrick's Create Art from Nature, the only other thing was a trail cleanup.
I could be in charge of that.
Okay, Karen can be in charge of that. Great. And then Karen, you had also the idea of, add our pictures, which I'll reach out to Savannah about.
Yeah, and if she
And
wants
also-
me to work with her on it, I
And
can.
also reach out to have her reach out to the NHS to see if they can provide any volunteer help, or if any students just want to come. So other than that, before we go to Patrick, sorry, do we have any other ideas on programs or activities?
I think maybe we just designate some of them that will go on throughout the 3 hours and some that have specific times, like I could do a trail walk every half hour.
I was gonna say that should have.
Yeah, how long do you think a trail walk was gonna take, the Kiwanis? Have you logged it?
Half hour. Doesn't have to be any longer than that, I don't think.
Okay, and
You go walk.
I'll talk with Eric about how many he can do or wants to do for the Adawan talk.
So is that gonna be a walk, Victor, or is that like
I
sitting?
know, I haven't talked to him.
Okay.
It could be a walk and talk, or it could just be a little presentation at Kiwanis building. I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Okay.
I'll have to talk to him about that.
What are we gonna do about food?
Oh, can we get to that after?
Oh,
Yeah,
yep,
after,
absolutely.
let's hear Patrick and then we'll talk.
Absolutely.
I did have one other thing to add potentially to the list, and that was in the past, we talked about trying to teach people something about how to take care of their trees. Is this like the event that we could use to do that? I mean, that's gonna add something significant to the list, but we're part of this outreach, idea, trying to teach
Last-
people basic things.
The
about
last
their
meeting,
trees.
we mentioned that we would want to save pruning or something like that for another event.
Different event.
Yeah, that's what we had
This
agreed
park,
to. Yeah, like at a park where, yeah,
Do crab apple or something.
exactly. That's what we talked about last time, that we were gonna stick away from that at this point.
So what would the other event be? What's your thought on that?
Next year's
Oh,
Kiwanis,
year's.
next year's Arbor Day Fest.
Okay. I just thought it was a great opportunity to really, we're doing the tree canopy, we're putting information out there, and now, maybe people have some questions that they would like to ask, and
I mean, we can always answer questions. I just think, Ben will be there, you guys will be there. I just think we have too much. We have a lot going on for an event. I mean, there's a lot. It doesn't seem like it, but with all the other stuff we'll have to do, there's a lot going on, so.
can we make notice that if you have some questions about how to, take care of your trees, there will be people there that can answer those questions for you, and have a spot set up underneath a tree, where you're gonna be climbing the tree.
Yeah, you don't want the tree to fail, you want to have a healthy.
We don't want him to be distracted.
Well, no, I mean, it'd be a good place to like get up on the soapbox. Talk about.
Well, or
Really, what
what,
Ben's gonna be doing is demonstrating
Yeah.
and taking on, so really, that's probably gonna be incorporated into his climbing anyway, I would imagine. You're gonna talk
Yeah, bad
about.
branches leave a splat.
we could also say at 1:30, meet with the city arborist for any questions you have. So we just stop the climbing before then.
Just line forms here. I mean, on kind of a separate note, would it make sense on a totally different tangent to have a day to talk to people about like pruning and stuff, just
And
to.
that would be better, in my opinion, than trying to rush something like
I mean,
that.
if somebody has a question about tree health and we're working on things, I'd be happy to answer that. And a lot of times what we do, like why use a rope instead of a set of spurs? Well, bad for the tree.
Yeah,
spurs
you know,
like
maybe that could be a
or-
focus for next year's Arbor Days, planting and caring for trees.
Yeah, it could be, yeah, you don't have to, what we don't want this is to spiral out of control.
Yeah, I think it's spiraling.
It already is.
Let's rein it in.
Yes, it is. All right, Patrick.
I don't feel like Patrick started spiraling.
Yeah, hopefully this is not gonna.
As long as you can oversee it.
You're put a little bit more thought to this, and so I'll just start with quickly with some of the goals I thought of. You know, opportunity to engage nature differently, using nature to create art. So you don't need anything other than what's already here. And then we would want them to document it with their phones, most people have, and then to share that experience on the city's way to promote what we do and all that good stuff. And then leave the art for others to discover. So they would leave it. This would be site-specific art that they make. So I see this as a standalone project, not really in combination with a paperless, great. So using that, of course, everybody has their phone, hopefully. And then we would laminate all the information, that sort of thing, that I'll be in charge of putting together. Well, instructions how to upload to social media. Be self-guided, all ages. So I will facilitate the information and invite others if they want to join me. So they're going out into the park to do this, site-specific, right? So they're not staying there, get out there, see the trail if they've never been, and not bringing the materials back. So I think need to also talk about respecting the park and nature. So they're not going to be ripping leaves off the new trees and things like that, using what's the stuff on the ground. And I'll have all information there. And hopefully they'll take a picture of that and send them on their way. And I would just sort of deal with people as they walk up. You know, so hopefully we can have some nice materials needed, right? So I'll hopefully have a nice big sign to kind of attract people, nature, art, people, oh, what's that, right? Make them ask questions so that they are attracted to what's going on there. And then I just thought having some examples of like what I showed you guys seem to find inspiration from seeing what an artist can do with these types of things, and that's to work as inspiration. And I'll make a few myself right there, send them out with feeling inspired to go out and do that sort of thing. And then what I would need was some maybe assistance with getting these things laminated, creating that signage, and then possible co-facilitating. So I'm not giving a lesson. I'm not looking for a certain outcome. It's open-ended type of learning and teaching. So I'm not at all like A plus B equals C. We're not after that at all. I'm trying to inspire them to come up with their own outcomes, right? Everybody's different learners. So, and then to document that, and then put it up that way, and they leave the art for others to discover. Maybe they'll bring their friends back or whatever. And they can be hidden little gems along the path or whatever. You know, and people will find their own way through all of that business. And then just lastly, and this is maybe already in Rachel's backpack with the improvement for the parks. I know you're already doing some of that stuff, so some other
Some
Oh,
surveys, for example.
community feedback, how to improve this place. I know you're already doing things like that. And then Eric, you already talked about. And one last thing that I didn't put on here was just, I don't know if you guys are just, we're already putting so much into this day. I just thought about the big picture here about trees, which we're about, right? The ecology and trees' role in it with the climate change, because it seems all that business is so far out of our periphery. We're like, what's the problem with ecology and climate change? We got plenty of trees around here. So to put out information to, especially to the younger kids,
I think we could incorporate like that type of stuff into like a walk and talk.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Like this, the importance to that is, as we all know, is so.
And Patrick, I think this is great. We can definitely help from city laminating, and some signage. I imagine a banner, but we're gonna have a banner for the Arbor Day Fest, a generic one. We're gonna create that, but a sign, maybe can we make a sign for nature itself? Like branches, it says like nature, I don't know.
Ideas.
Yeah, just a way to save on some cost while incorporating what the project is about, which is creating art from nature.
Got a lot of sticks in my backyard you could use.
It's just an idea, just
Sure, sure.
pretty cool. But yes, the things that we're gonna have to do though, is, like you said, we're not gonna be bringing the people back to a specific spot. They're gonna go site specific, but you're gonna need a starting place to start with. So I imagine like, you start at the Kiwanis building, everyone meets you there at a certain time and then, or
That would be right there.
or you just, do you envision it as people can, as they come in?
Yes.
All right, so it's not like meet here at 11:30 and then they can come in at 11, 11:15, 11:30, 12.
Right, there's no time.
Throughout the day.
Walk in, walk out.
All right.
I have one thought, and this might not be real, and keep, this is great. I'm wondering if we're dealing with with kids doing it, which
Sure.
I'm assuming we probably, if we wanted to give them some way to flag their creation temporarily,
Right.
so that they could find it again. I can see a little person doing it in the woods, coming back to find their mom, saying, Mom, come and look at this, and not being able to find it again. So I'm wondering if like, just not like a mistake flag, but just some little flag that we then can pull up when the event's done. But if there might be something like that we want to give to them, so they could show it to their friends and their family. I know little kids get really excited, they go do it and then they can't find it, can't remember where they put it. And
I
how,
wonder if we could get just some little like white flags.
something
sticks.
natural, like on a stick,
Yeah, that you could put
That's
in.
something.
with a piece of colored ribbon or something on it, something that isn't
Ribbon with
They have
their
a
name
plan,
on it.
and they
Yeah,
could
and
put a
their
number
name
on
even.
it. They could number them.
They
so
could
he's
number
one,
or
he's
name
number
even,
three, or
yeah,
I
just
think we
something.
Put their name on it.
And then we could just make a sweep at the end of the event and of course, pick all that stuff up. Or they
Leave
could,
it up for a week.
or they
week or
could
two.
grab it if
Yeah.
they wanted to, once they'd shown it to friends.
So I've got just a couple of questions. This is really good. Like, what do you see as examples of what they might make from nature? And then why laminating? How is that?
Laminating the picture of them, right? You're talking about laminating the picture?
Of
So,
the art,
yeah,
there's
the
not
picture
always-
examples of artist work, and then also the instructions about how to document and post. So that informational piece.
So it won't
need
be
to be out.
laminating what they did, it's something they can take with them afterwards?
They could
or-
take a picture of it, information about how to document
Okay,
the paper.
Just so that we don't have a bunch.
We'll have one
handouts.
piece of paper that's
Right.
laminated, right?
Yeah, basically, right.
Mhm.
That would be the informational piece, and then maybe
Another
one or
section,
two
yeah, exactly.
examples of the photos of the Andy Gozer Worthy's work.
When we say the trail, are we referring to the disc golf course
I imagine.
specifically? Okay, just something to think about on May 28th, it's a beautiful day. Disc golf, they hurt. And not all of them pay attention. So I don't know, maybe we close
I was
it.
just saying, maybe we don't allow.
Just something to think about,
Yeah.
because they'll be out there,
That's a good
and those
thought.
things don't tickle when they.
Event going on.
Yeah, I think since it's a city event, I think it's
Right.
fair to shut. the
I'll just
park
laminate something and put something on the side, on
From-
the first and the.
Yeah, like from
pole.
10 to 3.
Yeah, I just think if there's like a thing, like disc golfers won't know, they won't
That's right.
mean anything by it, but they'll
Right.
start on hole 1 and then get to 5 and be like, what's going
Or
on?
they can come and we can recruit them into Arbor.
Better
yet.
That too.
But I rather direct,
Disc golf just got better.
Yeah.
I rather direct
Good
people
thinking,
onto the
Rachel.
trails anyway.
Hmm?
I'd rather have people directed to the trails
Yeah.
anyway, rather than disc golf course. Yeah.
Cause I know there are like the out trails and then there's the disc golf
Yeah,
area and I just know kids won't know.
I don't think we should have disc golf going on at the
Wander.
same time. I don't think that would be a good thing.
Is there
Good thought.
somebody's
Little
disc golf?
bit.
Yeah, there is,
Do we
there's,
want to
Yeah.
post a few volunteers in the woods in case somebody gets turned around or
I
something?
think it's a good idea.
if we can find some, yes.
Disc golfers.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Anybody who shows up to play disc golf gets to be a guide. Good thought though,
In
Rachel.
terms of
This
how
is-
we,
And maybe if I can't talk to Savannah, maybe you can talk to Josie. I know she knows with NHS about volunteers from the school.
Oh, yeah, they're really good about
Yeah,
it.
the parks,
They're taking care of
I think if we, in terms of how we put this in order, which I don't think we have to finalize that today. I think it'd be really good to have you follow right after, the speech by Eric Hemingway. I mean, it kind of sets the
Well-
stage for it a little bit.
From my understanding with Patrick, it was gonna be an all event. It's not, it was you come in and you right away.
Right,
Yeah.
but to hear what he says first might be really helpful to some
Well,
people.
no, the way I think of my thing is just as they show up.
As they show
Yeah.
So I'll just have a picnic table right there near the warming house and
I'd like to
So-
suggest we have
to walk in.
stations for each of the all-day activities, like one place where you can go
Oh, yeah.
to get going on a walk, one place where you can go to go see Ben, one place where you can go to do
Can't we
the
just
art.
set up picnic tables outside?
Yeah, yeah, one
Yeah.
place for the
Yeah.
bird
Each
feeders.
table will be, I mean, I think right by the Kiwanis building or even inside the building, right there, there's plenty of tables.
Yes.
and-
Yeah.
And put a little sign,
Yeah,
I mean,
a
it can
little
be a
sign on each
handwritten
table.
sign that says
Right.
nature walk.
Yeah.
and
Right.
Nature art. Yeah, I would think that would be
Tree climbing with Ben, you know, Eric, yeah.
When the snow starts to clear, we definitely need to all go out to the
Yeah.
Kiwanis Park and just map
Maybe
this
we could
all
climb
out
a
and see what
tree.
it's gonna look like.
But we could have our next meeting there. What do you think?
March at the building.
Yeah.
You
We
guys
could
want
have
that?
it at meeting in the building and then go for a quick walk.
We might still
Is it
have
heated?
4 feet of
So-
snow, but we might not either this year.
I think maybe our April meeting should be, because remember, we'll have a March meeting, an April meeting and a May meeting before this happens, so.
In April.
Then one other thought too is we should probably have a rain contingency.
Do we? Need one?
No,
I mean, artwork can still be done in the rain.
yeah.
Ben, can you still do the climate? You probably don't want to.
I mean, work in the rain. I mean, it depends on what's happening. If we have.
You know, For example,
Good point.
the rain, we can still do the walk and talk in the rain, or we can transfer them just inside the building and just have a slideshow of trees and just have species identification kind of thing.
We can do bird feeders
You
inside.
can do bird feeders inside. So basically everything we can do except, everything can be done inside or can still go on while it's raining, unless it's like a tornado type, thunderstorm, then we'll just cancel the event, but
Then you just climb this way.
Like show business.
yeah, the show will go
Sure,
on,
we'll go on.
unless it's lightning, then we'll cancel, so for
We
safety.
could maybe gather up some easy ups too,
So what?
easy up tents,
Oh, yeah.
if we need them for shelter. I've got one.
We
Does
got
the city own any easy up tents?
I've got one.
Yeah, yeah.
How about portalage? We could like sit in a tree.
You have what?
Portalage? When you see people like on the side of Yosemite, they're there for days.
The
like that's-
wax, yeah.
Well, I only have 15 minutes left here, so I will do, I'll pick up all the advertising, obviously, we'll do that in the city, and so we'll get this, take the information and get more finalized, but let's go on to the food. Rachel has suggested we probably get a health license from the health department, temporary one, if we're gonna grill hot dogs, I mean, it's only, like you said, $55 or something, so it's not terribly expensive, but if we're gonna do that, we're gonna have to have someone grilling, we're gonna have to have more volunteers doing that stuff, so just keep in mind that it might be easier just to bring in prepared food.
I think so. I think it'd be best just to bring in some snack,
Unless we can
bars,
find a volunteer
food
that wants to
bars,
cook.
or ask Jeb
Well,
again for
or-
some donations or just some snack.
Bill
things.
Mulder would cook, or he would be at farmer's market, and I'll bet Mark would do something.
If he's, yes, I don't know if we're gonna be in town. Yes, be happy to help if we're
in town.
Yeah, let's assume we can find a volunteer.
I think
So you wanna get a
pictures-
license to cook?
I'll be
Is that
there,
what
I
you're
just don't know
saying?
what
Okay.
I have to be doing, there's so much going on, so.
I just think there's gonna be so much going on, that cooking during all of that.
None of us will be doing it, though, somebody else will be doing it. We've kind of got the hot dog, that thing down cold, right, Rachel?
Is there a grill up there?
I use a little George Foreman that I had in college. That I
Because we
donated.
really should buy a grill for Kiwanis.
Only reason there's not a grill up there is because we do rentals. And I didn't want rentals bringing their own propane tanks and using it. So yes, we do want one up there. I just gotta think
It's
of a
just
way to
not,
keep
yeah,
it.
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's on the parks. right
Why
there.
do we have to have a license to
Because
grill?
we're feeding the public. If you weren't feeding the public and it was a private private like rental or something like that, or someone brought in food that already had obtained a food license.
So is that how you get around it at the sledding things?
Correct, we have to give temporary food license.
You
for
do
each
have to have a
event,
temporary
yeah.
food license for the hot
Yeah,
dogs.
so they call the day before, I go through a checklist with them on the phone, her name's Lisa, she's really cool. And yeah, we just go through everything real quick,
If
because
you-
there's no utility sinks, there's nothing, they just
No, I
have to
know
make
there's
sure,
not.
yeah.
If we don't do it, if we don't get the license and someone gets sick, then we're in trouble.
It just seems.
It seems silly, but yeah, if we
But
don't.
I get it,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Okay,
I do have a portable propane grill.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I-
anything like that, and they're pretty lenient, they're cool about it.
Maybe we can get some veggie dogs too for.
I think, and I
Yes,
think Lucas
thank
said
you.
he would bring the
Oh, we're trying
DPW
to
yours.
save it.
Yeah, the DPW has a good
Still
sized
it
grill
is.
for one time, but yeah, the likelihood of getting sick off a pre-cooked hot dog is pretty good.
in the long run, but that- no, that's all different. We could do some
We're not
veggie.
tracking.
So
Cancer.
we can get the details there, then figure it out, but anyway, food, we'll have chips, snacks, water, whatever, grilled. All right, so the other things that we need to do beforehand is talk about installing placards by tree species beforehand.
We should probably start with a list of trees that we're gonna.
Yeah,
plant.
that'll involve going down there and seeing what trees, maybe we just pick 8, 6, 10 species, whatever, and then figure out how to get a placard. I don't know.
QR code.
Banner out, so we usually use Deca Digital for making banners and we post here on M119. And they usually just like, we have an event going on that city is, they'll design it for us and just, I don't know, Patrick, if you wanted to be involved in designing it anywhere. It's about $300 for a 2-sided sign banner, but the good thing there is we won't put any specific dates on there. They can be reused every year, or as Rachel told me, they have little flat, what are they, flat or like covers that you
Yeah,
can.
like if you do the date, I'm pretty sure you can put patches on it
Yeah.
to change it, so something you'll have to ask.
So I'll reach out to Deca Digital and I'll loop you. Maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe we just need to have our logo and maybe just the way it's laid out and, a nice tree. I don't know, Patrick. I'll be in touch with you about that. Okay.
Keep it pretty simple.
Yeah, simple, yeah. And then print brochures and pamphlets. We did it last year with tree flags. We also had a QR code, like maybe a link to our webpage and maybe just basic tree donation or for the maintenance fund or for just some of those basic forms. So we did that last year. Again, funding, if we want to maybe they can be a sponsor for the whole event as opposed to just the tree giveaway. And then we can find multiple people. We can look for 4 or 5. I imagine with the cost of the banner, the food, the ceilings and other things we might need to pay for some people, it could be a couple $1,000s. So if we can find 4 or 5 people to donate a few $100s as a sponsor, businesses would be great.
I'll do that.
Yeah, if you want to work on that, Dan, that'd be awesome.
I want to add something to that on the food. Maybe we get the Harbor IGA to work with us on that.
Yeah, that's
They're
awesome.
really good.
Yeah, I mean, they're very involved in the community. Maybe
They are.
maybe they'll be willing to supply the food or at least for nominal cost.
From church, when we used to actually buy the turkeys and stuff for folks at Christmas, they donated tons.
And for the sponsors, like they do at the baseball games, we can just put, if they have a banner or something,
Yeah,
just put their sign up that they're sponsored by.
they've always been super helpful.
Do you want me to reach out to the Harbor IGA?
That'd be great if you could.
Sure.
Yeah. So then collaboration, obviously Ben, Parks Department, DPW, Parks Board. So I imagine Rachel will take this, just some information, basic back to the Parks Board as an update, saying this is what the tree boards plan on doing. If there's any way we can get some volunteers from the parks people as well, if they want to help on Scott.
How many do you want? Josie has been pretty, I think, reliable with like
She's
8 to
been-
10 volunteers every time.
Yeah, that'd be great, because if we're talking about putting volunteers in the woods,
Yeah.
to make sure kids don't get lost or whatnot,
The crafts.
helping with the food crafts, like the bird
And
feeders.
Clark also is really good with the
I think
kids.
Susan could grill the hot dogs.
And with the kids, she's really good. She's really good with kids.
Former teacher. Can
Yeah,
I go back to the printed materials? I would rather not hand out papers because it's kind of contrary to.
Well, we talked about it last year, and I know we had that same conversation last year, and the reason we did it was because, I know Nancy may have brought it up, there's a lot of older people who might show up that aren't gonna take a QR code and go to a website, so I'm fine either or, I mean, I can do it or I don't have to do it.
We can have people stand by to help them do it. Just like open your camera and take a picture.
The one thing where you might want to have is a donation form, because they have to print that out. If they're gonna donate for like a tree maintenance fund, they'd have to print that out and submit it anyway. And so it might encourage, because if they just have to take a picture, they might forget to do it when they get home, but if they have a physical paper they take home with them, it might remind them.
I think we should have a few, Karen, not stacks like we used, in other things. But I think there is an element in this town that doesn't use smartphones, doesn't use computers. And council, we get a lot of pushback about it. So I think we just need to be mindful of it. So we make 20 copies and they can be half sheets. We don't need to use full sheets of paper or anything, but I think there will be a handful of people that we need to be able to hand.
But we do get pushback from people who are concerned about environmental issues too by
I know.
handing out paper.
I know.
Yes, we don't have to do it for
Yeah.
everybody. but
No,
just
not for
something.
everybody,
Yeah.
by any means. A majority of people will have a smartphone that they're gonna do it. But I think a few, and for donations, I do think some people just,
Maybe we can incorporate it in one little piece of paper.
yeah, I mean, it can be a quarter of a sheet or something.
Yeah,
but
I just
think we
don't like
should
the
have
idea of having to
something.
hand out papers.
Victor, could I offer a suggestion on implementation matrix?
Are we there yet? Are we? still
Table it
waiting?
for this meeting and then.
Well, Karen, are we moving on to the next topic yet or no?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just don't know if we're done with this one.
I think we're done with this one.
We're done with this one. All right, I just want to make sure before we jump.
Yeah.
on.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, it's all right.
And I had a suggestion too on the matrix, so you go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest a couple things. First of all, we had talked about some that were overlapping, so I can try and condense those if you want. And then what we're doing on parks is we're also having one more column for priorities. So like high, medium, low. And then we're gonna kind of sort them into those groups within the table, just so we can easily see what's important. So we aren't every time jumping over every single one where maybe some of them aren't that important. And maybe if we could get that reformatted and then each of us in our own minds say which ones are high importance to us. And then that would be a starting point for the next discussion.
I'm fine with that.
Well, I had another suggestion. I find reading through all these topics, some of which appear to be duplicative, which I know they're coming from different parts of the tree plan. But I went through it all and kind of put them in categories. So like one is the maintenance, one is the inventory of trees, another one is planting new trees, and one, so different categories. And if this was in like an Excel spreadsheet or Word, I could do a copy and paste and then try to put all of these into those categories. So they wouldn't be in the same order as this, because this is in the order of the parts of the tree plan, but at least all the issues with maintenance are all in one place. And
That's
within
good.
that, what are the biggest priorities in that maintenance part? What's the biggest issue with inventory? So they're all going to be in that same topic, that same category. Whereas right now, I feel like I'm just really skipping around and rereading similar things, which I know we're not. They're in different parts of the tree plan. But if it's in that kind of format, because the way it is right now, I can't do anything with it. But if you're agreeable to that, I could do that and send it out to everybody. Would that help?
That'd be great.
Yes.
And then Karen, would you want to add a column for priority, high, medium? low?
Yes, right. And then I also thought about, is there a deadline for any of this, or do we have?
No,
target
so-
dates, or?
Our tree plan just calls for an annual review of but I think what our real goal here is to, since it's our first time reviewing it, is to really figure out, as you said, Dana, kind of what is the priorities and what do we want to focus on this year? So obviously, we're not going to focus on 20 goals this year, but maybe 2 or 3, we want to take them and figure out which ones the tree board can do and which ones staff can do, and et cetera. So that's really the goal here. So I think coming back next time with this sheet will help all of us with prioritizing, and then picking a few to work on essentially after our Arbor Day festivals. So June, July, August, whether it's coming up with a policy for something or education outreach, something like that. Yeah.
Is there a column on it? Because I've just looked at it online that says whether it's a staff issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was, okay.
So yeah, I have responsibility under staff tab.
Yeah, that's
Also-
helpful. Helpful, right, all right.
Yeah. And I made my best guesses here. And if you guys, the tree board or anyone else thinks there's different Ben, you got a lot of responsibilities. If you think there's any that you didn't know about. But
Yeah,
That's what happens.
yeah, that's what happens when you miss a meeting, you get elected to a position you don't want to
Yes,
have.
you do. Really want to show up for
Takes one
meetings.
step back.
And then there's that tab for the progress.
Mhm.
So obviously, this is our first review. We haven't made much progress on a lot, but I think that's good. I'll get that to you, Karen, and that way. I know, Karen, then you wanted to go into the next topic of our.
Yeah, just real quick, the next topic for the tree canopy, pretty straightforward. I haven't written it all up yet, I just wanted to get your ideas on it. I got it. Down. There should be enough for everybody, I think. So I'm thinking the next article would be in the March issue, during March, we're kind of almost at the end of February. One thing would be to announce that we have been selected as a Tree City USA, and then what were the requirements to get there. I know we've touched on that before, but maybe do that again here. And then a topic 2 would be announcing our Arbor Day for May 28th.
Do we have one for February? Do we have a tree? Canopy for
No, I
February?
don't think that one was it in early February that it happened?
Late January, early February. I sent it
Yeah, it's like
over.
right in there.
When it's finalized, I get it from Charles and I get it from you and I send it to Charles. So as long as we're consistent, we might not get one each month, but 8 to 10 a year is fine.
I think this is
Yeah.
great, just one thought of whether we would want to do this for April. When it's going to be a little closer to the time of.
You
Well, I
can
think we
announce
can
it.
announce it and then remind them again in April. And then we'll have more details probably for April, but this issue could just say, these are the things that we're going to be doing, just like.
Yeah, I
And
like
then
that. Karen,
later
yeah.
we can put out more of a schedule. and
Then we can have a more exact schedule.
Yeah, exactly. I think April we can have exact schedule. Here it's just like, hey, this Arbor Day, what is Arbor Day Fest? This is what it is. Here's what we're planning on
There's a
doing.
couple kids' activities,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Karen, the only thing I see here is under number 2, under the topic 1, must have a tree care ordinance. You say we have a city tree plan. We also do have an ordinance as well.
Okay, all right.
We do have an ordinance.
Ordinance, that's good.
And then tree of the month.
Oak.
Oak.
That was quick.
That was
Swamp
quick. I second
Swamp
that.
Oh, that's a species. We're talking about families or species, wasn't this the last
That's a good
discussion?
question.
Oh, right.
No, let's do red oak. That's what we
Good
have.
thing
the
you're
most
here,
of.
Ben.
Say what?
Good thing you're here.
To manage the minutia?
This is also another way though to, and I don't know if we should do this, but a way to kind of also recognize donors and encourage people to donate. We could highlight a species that someone did donate, right? So let's say, I'm thinking Ron Fennick, right, donated 25 swamp oak trees. Be like, you might have noticed 28. Yeah, you might have noticed these new trees on, and we donated with by Ron
Church did.
Fennick.
Okay, let's do it.
It's just a suggestion, and then we can talk about what swamp white oak is, and
It's a good way of acknowledging donors.
then people then
Encourages.
exactly, and it encourages without,
Nice.
anyway.
Okay, I'll write that up.
White oak.
And Ron Fennick was a donor, but I can get you that info when we write it.
And he's fine with that if we let people know he gave those.
Yeah, he didn't say he didn't want to be recognized for it, so I can reach out to him.
I think we should, I just think it's a good policy to ask them probably to work with their name on Facebook.
I mean, he came out here in public anyway.
I know he
yeah,
did.
but
I just think it's a good.
There are people who donated
People we don't
trees
want.
to this project, but he didn't want to be recognized
Yeah.
for donation, so.
Should we get 28 trees then?
Yeah.
Yeah, down by Holy Child.
Yeah,
Really nice.
West Main Street. Yeah.
Well,
That took a while to nail down that donation. You're a year and a half back and forth about. Anyway,
Okay, I'll write that up and send it out for input. Any other new business? Any new business? Is
no,
there anybody on Zoom?
fortunately, no.
Right? So if that's it, I can make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.